YouTube WAP Kwan. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Hey, before we go any further, do me a favor and subscribe now. Subscribe to the channel right now. Alright, on to the video. So today's topic is going to be about feminists. So I came across a video on YouTube and I thought it was real interesting. So I was like, bet, next topic. So, you know, the crazy thing is I actually used to call myself a feminist. I used to consider myself a feminist. I used to think I was. But that's when I thought that feminist just meant that you believed in equal rights for women. So I was like, of course, why wouldn't I believe in equal rights for women? I should be a feminist. Anybody in their right mind should be a feminist. So I consider myself a feminist until I started learning more about feminists. I started coming across more feminists. And then I was like, it doesn't really seem like being a feminist is about equal rights. It seems more like it's a group that's trying to bring down everyone who's not a woman. And then I kind of thought, well, that kind of goes against what a feminist should be, right? If you believe in equal rights, it goes against what a feminist should be. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I'm not a feminist because I don't hate men. I am a man. That doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm not a feminist because I believe the rights should be equal, not women up here or men up here. I feel like it really should be equal. So I was like, maybe I'm not a feminist because feminists don't really seem like they believe in equal rights for women. So I no longer call myself a feminist. I just say that I believe in equal rights for women and just leave it at that. I think being a feminist entails more than just that. So let's jump on to the video that I came across.
I'm a feminist.
I am a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
Alrighty.
How do we feel about women having rights?
Yes.
Fabulous.
Really cool thing.
Awesome.
The more the merrier.
What would you say is the most feminist thing about you yourself?
I believe women should be paid the same across the board, not just white women, but women of color. You can't be a person of color and not believe that women should have the same rights as I, as a black person. So that's why I'm a feminist. And I believe that feminism is about women being equal, period.
Yeah. For me, it's just like uplifting women's voices for women's rights. I think like a good thing for us to start, like, how do you guys define feminism?
Like an advocacy for equity in the institutions for women, right? Not just in the economy and society, but also in government and other positions of power.
Like I looked over and I saw, like, not to hate anyone that wears running shoes, but like I saw the running shoes and I just assumed. I think that's just like a trope that like a lot of like anti-feminists, like right-wingers dress more for comfort than style. So it's just a stereotype that I was playing on.
I think support.
What, bro? What are you talking about? So he got running shoes on so he can't be a feminist? That don't even make sense. I've actually never heard that before. So he just looked at the way he dressed and just like judged him like, oh nah, running shoes, he's not a feminist.
Supporting women in all areas. So reproductive rights, you know, work pay rights, all that type of stuff. And I think being a voice for the ones that can't speak up, because I find myself getting into arguments with people because I'm like, I will like really like have this conversation with you. So I think just always supporting them no matter what.
My eye immediately went to Emma. I was like, that very much could be a conservative woman in this group, just based on her outfit. It was a great outfit. She looked great. I guess my view on feminism is that it goes...
Yo, why are they judging off of the way people were dressed right now? I'm not really understanding. They seem extremely judgmental. We ain't even getting nowhere yet.
Beyond women as well, like we include trans people in there, and like by uplifting women and trans people, you then see a better society and environment for like men and like other people. You said something about agreeing with women no matter what they do. Like I fully disagree. I feel like feminism, you have to hold women accountable. Like there are women like J.K. Rowling who like leading and spearheading a transphobia movement in the UK, and you can't like hide behind feminism when you were literally hurting women and
Oh, totally. I feel like that was just like a broad statement when I say supporting women. I think for me, when I was in a workplace run by men, I feel like I couldn't stand up to like the plate and step up and really like talk about how I'm feeling, because I would just get shut down. So I think like in those situations, I mean, like if there's like no one that can like support someone, like you should support them and educate them in a way.
What do you usually do in instances where you're like shot down by a man in power, you could say?
Well, nowadays it's different.
Okay.
If I was saying a few years ago, I would just kind of like rebuttal and just go about and do what they want me to do. But now I have a voice and I will kind of, there's not like something equal. I will just point out the fact that, hey, that's not fair. Like, it's just a thing of being strong and powerful, I think.
And so what do men do in those situations?
Women a lot of time aren't taken seriously by men in the patriarchy. I think it's really important for us to like let our voices be heard and uplift their voices.
Keep each other in check.
Yeah, allow a platform for women to speak, let their voices be heard, because that's the most effective way to dismantle ignorance.
His speech seemed very practiced or thought out. It didn't seem natural. I think also just putting women in leadership at my work, all of leadership is all women.
Yeah.
And I feel the safest there compared to other workplaces where I've been kind of like duking it out with the boss man kind of thing.
Yeah. My bosses are all women too. And
Of course.
I will say that traditionally I have had issues with women being my boss, but as
You hate to see a strong woman.
As
That's what
I've
you're
grown,
saying.
as I've grown educationally,
Yeah.
now that I know women's roles, and so I agree with you with that assessment that women in leadership, it is just something about it. I feel safer too.
And I grew up with a family of brothers.
Yo, this person all the way on the left, I think it's Emmett. I think she's like confrontational. She coming at everybody. She like the super feminist in this group.
So I was always having to like fight to say anything, and also a Hispanic household, so a lot of times it was like the woman's here to serve and all of that, and having like grown up with that kind of like mindset made me go the complete opposite. You know what I'm saying?
I think when people tend to use a lot of dictionary definitions, they were either studying up on it. I mean, you don't have to go Merriam-Webster on us and trying to explain it.
You know, Emma, she's a little too comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time, if that makes any sense. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I had a weird hunch that it was coming. I'm very formal. So that can make it seem like I'm kind of more nervous or more studied, rehearsed.
I want to expand on what you said. I'm wondering how you guys feel about trans women in women's sports.
I'm down for it.
I'm a trans person myself, and I think the root of that
Bruh, shut up.
problem tends to stem with we're protecting children, but you can't say you're protecting children if you're kicking out trans.
That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. It ain't about the children. It's about the pro athletes who have to go against transgender women. That's what it's about. It's about the pros, the athletes who've been working their whole life for their moment. And then they gotta go against a transgender woman. That's what it's about. It's about an MMA fighter who's going against a biological woman and cracks her skull open. That's what it's about. It ain't about the kids.
Trans children. It is like a non-starter, and it distracts from, I think, more imperative issues with the banning of gender-affirming care and housing. And that's one of my biggest problems with modern day feminism, is that it tends to center rich cis-het white women. And I'm like, that's weird.
No, 100%.
How do you feel?
Well, yeah, I just want to see, because I was wondering, I don't know how the casting works. I don't know if there's any turfs or swerfs in the group, because I don't determine that to be feminism.
Slay.
Because for me, trans women are women, so we should be protecting all women, not just cis women.
I have no problem about sports and stuff, but I also don't want to silence the J.K. Rowlings of the world, because I believe in democracy, and I believe to know your enemy, I want them to speak. That's how they used to do things in the old days. That's what the KKK does. They hide their face.
Sure.
I want to know who they are, and I want them to speak freely so you know who the enemy is.
Sometimes they get a little violent though, and it turns into other things.
I think I understand what you mean. You agree with free speech, but not to the point where it should restrict someone else. Like you don't have
No, but
ill will towards
I
trans
definitely
people.
want the J.K. Rowlings and the Marjorie Taylor Greens to talk. I want them
Yeah.
to talk because I want to know
they
who they are.
sound so stupid.
Well, stupid, but you also want to know who they are.
Emma, what do you think? You haven't said anything.
I'm kind of like, I'm not against it. I'm not like so much. I feel like I don't have a clear answer because with
Now Emma is uncomfortable. Emma no longer wants to talk. She is not comfortable in her space anymore because of everyone around her. She doesn't feel comfortable saying what she really feels.
kids, like when you talk about kids doing it, I don't think with children, I think everyone should, like everyone's the same, they have the same strengths and everything like that. But I think in like professional sporting situations, I might need to educate myself more on this. So this might be like what I need to come out of today and do. But I think trans women still have like more strength than women. But even saying that, like they're women, but I feel like it's not even exactly.
She compared trans women to women, referring to cis women as the women, and like kind of
Because there's a difference.
then referring to trans women as not women. I was like, oh, it might be her.
Like they have an advantage, you would say?
Yeah, like a slight
Okay.
advantage.
So you might be against it, maybe?
I mean, see, I don't want to say that though because then I'm not really supporting all women.
Okay.
But
So if it's professional, let's be honest. If you're good, you're good. I think if a transgender woman went up to play tennis against Serena Williams, and it's a transgender woman, she'd probably more than likely lose.
Because
And you would be wrong. You would be absolutely wrong. 100% wrong. As a matter of fact, Serena did play against a guy. He was ranked 203rd amongst all male professional tennis players. And you know what happened? He beat the dog shit out Serena. Easy. Serena said it was the worst thing ever. She said she will never ever play against a man again. The ball was coming at Serena so fast she couldn't even comprehend what was going on. 203rd ranked. So let's just say 195 ranked decides, you know what? I'm going to transition to a woman. What do you think is going to happen? You think Serena's still going to be number one? No. He's going to kill Serena. Are you serious right now? See, these people don't make no sense. It's a whole bunch of people who are not athletes at all. So they don't really care. They don't care what happens. If you were really a feminist and you really cared about women's rights, then you wouldn't want to put transgender women against biological women. Because now you have these transgender women smashing on these biological women. This doesn't make any sense. Serena cannot beat a professional male tennis player. And if he was to transition into a female tennis player, she still will not be able to beat him. He will crush her. Easy. Everyone's talking about, oh, they take hormones and la da da da. That's not going to change much. The transgender woman is still going to be stronger. Hands, feet, still going to be bigger. Bone density, still going to be bigger. Those are things you can't change. Those are things will stay. Serena cannot beat a transgender woman in tennis. Not if that transgender woman is a professional tennis player. Now, just a regular old Joe Schmo off the street, yeah, me, she'll smash me. I'm not a tennis player. But if this person is a professional tennis player, Serena doesn't stand a chance. You can go look this up yourself. Serena even said it. She said it was not fun. She just wants to play against biological women. She didn't say biological women, but I think that goes without saying. She just said she just wants to play women. She never wants to play against that ever again.
Williams is one of the greatest of all time.
Exactly. So when we talk about strength and stuff, sometimes it's just skill.
Yeah, so I think for sure, like there's some that like the.
It's not just skill. I'm sure Serena's skill was much better than that guy's. He's ranked 203rd amongst men. She's ranked number 1 against women. I'm sure her skills is better. But she still cannot compete against him. She can't compete. As a matter of fact, there were a group of, I think, 14 or 15-year-old boys who played soccer. And they played against a professional women's team. Professional women's team. And they killed them. Crushed them. The teenage boys crushed them. 14 and 15 years old. crushed them. There is a difference. If you are really a feminist, you wouldn't want to match up women against biological males. It's not fair to the women. If I had a daughter or if I had a sister, I wouldn't want her playing against someone who is a biological male and transitioning into a female. No, it's not fair. And you call yourself a feminist? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I get so upset about it. It's because it's like, these are so-called feminists, people who standing up for women's rights. How come when we stand up for women's rights, how come when you stand up for women's rights, now we start bringing in this very, very small population of people, such as transgender. They have the biggest voice in this female space against feminists. I have nothing against transgender people. But when it comes to something like this, let's keep it fair. Let's keep it fair. Stop saying that, oh, there's still women they can play against. Yeah, you call them women, they're women. I don't care what you call them. I'm not God. I didn't create nothing. But at the end of the day, don't match up a transgender woman against a biological woman in sports. It's not fair. And you have a bunch of people who's not athletes, never did anything athletic a day in their life, and they have the biggest opinion about it. Oh, they're women too. Let them play. Yeah, they're women. Fine. Play against somebody else who's transgender. How many women that transition to male play in a professional male sport? How many? 0. There's a reason. How many transgender women who's transitioned from male to female play in women's professional sports? There's a few. And they are winning easily, breaking records.
Absolutely even, but I think in very limited areas of sport, then like there might be a slight advantage. But things, yeah, like tennis and soccer, like those type of things are all skill.
A lot of people get mad at trans women in sports when in reality, majority of trans women that compete in sports currently aren't doing that well. It's not like there's like a crazy big advantage. A lot of them are on hormones for like a long time. Like it's even gotten to the point where we're trying to make cis women who have high testosterone way lower.
So it's a regulated thing, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and a lot of times, let's just call it what it is. It's about people's religion. It's about your ideology, your religion.
Yeah.
And which, again, has no place in.
They're shielding their hate.
Yeah, as Jesus said.
So you see what happened here. Remember in the beginning when Emma said that when she's at work, she doesn't always feel comfortable speaking up because she gets shut down by the men. Now she's here and she's getting shut down. She's in a feminist space, mind you. Getting shut down by a gay guy. Getting shut down by a transgender woman. Getting shut down by this guy here on the right, Keenan, I believe. And then getting shut down by this one other woman. So this is just like her workplace. You can see that she got very uncomfortable. She didn't really want to say how she really felt. She didn't want to talk anymore. She started to get a little baffled. They all shut her down. This is a woman in women's spaces. We talk about equal rights for women, right? I'm not even a feminist. I'm not even a feminist, and I feel like I want more equal rights for women than these people do.
That's all.
Not so much what he was saying or stating, but the fact that he was just giving me information overload. I was like, you kind of distracted me from what we were actually discussing.
When the question of sports came up, Emma immediately kind of withdrew. And also, like, as a trans person, I'm just immediately like, that's suspicious to me.
But this ain't about trans, is it? This is about feminists. It's not about trans people, it's about feminists. Equal rights for women, that's what it's about. So why did this trans conversation even take over this conversation?
Good luck.
I could have easily just agreed and played the game and got to the end. But I know this is a game, but I think it's also a game of topics and conversation. So I'm not mad about getting voted out and how it went.
If you think the mole could still be in the box and you want to continue playing the game, please raise your hand.
I think we're set.
I will still vote to continue, but if you guys want to end it, I'm cool with ending it.
The light turns green.
Yo, buddy want to get Keenan out now. He not done. He want to get Keenan out, obviously. He like, oh, there's no way this guy can be a feminist just by looking at him.
That means you have voted out the mole and you all win. If the lights turn red, that means the mole is still in the box and you lose. 3,
That's good.
2, 1.
Let's go. Oh my God. My bad. I was scared.
I knew it.
Okay.
May the mole step forward in 3, 2, 1.
Step right up, whoever.
I thought, yeah.
There is no mole.
Yeah, checked out.
My bad.
Well played, Jubilee. Well played. Put the feminists together and see what happens. They all start just attacking each other. They start going for the weaker feminists. The ones that they consider weak. That's who they attack.
I'm so sorry. I just knew it was you.
First impressions, right?
So here's the thing. The mole actually never showed up, but we still wanted you all to play the game.
This was a good one.
I was shocked. I was for certain we kicked out the mole. We were done, case closed, and I feel like I was probably too quick to judge.
I think it's an interesting social experiment to see infighting even within these groups. Getting a bunch of feminists in the room and seeing who points to another one and say, I don't think you're a feminist. Extremely interesting to me. And also extremely interesting that I was the first one out.
I felt some hesitation about coming on the show just because I didn't want to come off as someone, as a man, accusing women of not being feminists.
Exactly.
Because it's a really weird position to be in. I'm like, is it corny to go on a show and be like a male feminist? But like, no, it shouldn't be.
I think walking away from this, I really want to educate myself more on transgender women.
Nah, Emma, don't listen to them. Speak your mind. Speak your mind. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. You don't have to educate yourself on anything. They need to educate themselves, actually.
That's something I've learned.
So after watching that video, you can see why years ago I stopped calling myself a feminist, because I don't think this way. This way to me is crazy. You can see how we had a woman like Emma in the group, and the transgender woman and the gay man immediately started to attack Emma and made her feel, in my opinion, like she was back in her workplace where she was being silenced by men and couldn't stick up for herself. Same situation. Emma was scared to stand up for herself in that group. A woman in a woman's space battling a gay man and a transgender woman. Congratulations, women. It seems like the leader of your spaces are not people who were born women. You kind of back at square one. Your leaders, to me, are kind of the very people that you were trying to get away from. As you can see in the video, the feminists were extremely judgmental. It's crazy how there wasn't even an anti-feminist in the group, but automatically they just looked at, I think his name was Eric, and they looked at Emma, and just by the way they were dressed, they're not feminists. From the beginning, that's what they said. Sweeney looked at Eric and said, oh, he has on running sneakers. He can't be a feminist. How judgmental is that? When you feel like everyone should be equal, just looking at the way someone dressed and then making an assessment, oh, okay, you got running sneakers on, there's no way you're a feminist. How does that make sense? Women don't run. Women don't wear running sneakers. Then you had Emmett judging Emma, saying that the way Emma was dressed didn't look like she was a feminist. She's a woman. She wanted to dress feminine. She wanted to wear a skirt and heels. and a nice top. Why does that say that she's not a feminist? Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane how judgmental these people are? We have men in women's spaces silencing women in the name of femininity. How insane is this? How insane is that? The very thing the women were trying to get away from and fight against is in their spaces, leading their spaces and silencing them, shutting them up. But anyway, I'm just giving my opinion on it. Glad you stuck around. If you made it to this point in the video, please like. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please share the video with someone so I can get more views and get my videos more out there in the open and in the YouTube universe. That's not even a thing. I just made that up, but it sounds kind of dope though. Please comment, like, subscribe, share. I appreciate you sticking around for another video with your boy. And that's all it's going to be for today. Peace.